Hey everyone, Isaac here. I wanted to make a brief video talking about the concept of cult-like religions and religious sects that essentially shun former members. Now, this is something that is not super common, like it tends to be specific to particular religious sects. I don't know about in other countries. I'm thinking about in the U.S. where I live. I live in South Carolina, which is the quote-unquote buckle of the Bible Belt, where people think that Catholics worship Mary and think that a priest can forgive somebody's sin by their own volition and, all of these other things that aren't true. And when they find out, they say Roman Catholics are not Christians, and when they find out that Orthodoxy has a lot of the same principles as Roman Catholicism, they think it's cool to begin with. They're like, oh yeah, I'd never been to a Greek church before. It's beautiful on the inside. I wonder what they believe. And then when they find out many of our beliefs are similar to Roman Catholicism, not the same, but similar to Roman Catholicism, then they just dismiss us as being not Christians either. So that's pretty much your Christianity in the South. Like, there are the amount of Orthodox where I live is probably equivalent to some of the people that I'm going to be talking about, like the Jehovah's Witnesses. I work in a psychiatric hospital, and had a conversation with a couple coworkers a few nights ago when I was working, and they were talking about how particular coworker that was pointing all this out. She is a lesbian. She's married to a woman, and she was talking about how her spouse's family, like her spouse grew up Jehovah's Witness, and her family wouldn't even talk to her, and that there was a family member on her side of the family that died or was about to die, and they went to her house, and her father answered her and said, I'm not even supposed to be talking to you right now. And the thing is that anyone that looks at the Jehovah's Witnesses from the outside and they see a lot of that stuff happening, they're very aware of it. A lot of people from the outside know that Jehovah's Witnesses do that. The past few times that I've had dialogue with Jehovah's Witnesses at my own place, where just when they occasionally knock on your door and such, they seem to deny this. And the last time that I actually had dialogue with Jehovah's Witnesses, when somebody knocked on my door, that was late last year, and he said that he had seen the videos that people had made, the undercover videos, or rather secretly recorded videos, where they're talking about being shunned and stuff like that. And this gentleman that came to talk to me is very nice, and so was the other guy that was with him, but he denied that happened. And here's why this blows my mind a little bit. And I'll bring another example too, with the Westboro Baptist Church. Any traditionalist Christian, whether they be Orthodox, Anglican, Catholic, whatever, know that the Westboro Baptists are utterly evil and that their ideas are not in line with the Christian gospel by any stretch of the imagination. They are diametrically opposed to the Christian religion. Now, Megan Phelps Roper, one of the daughters of Shirley Phelps Roper, who's sort of the matriarch of the Westboro Baptist Church, talked about how when her sister, after she and her sister apostatized from the Westboro Baptist Church, they went to or her sister went to their parents' house and, knocked on the door, and they closed the curtains and turned off the lights, and she was talking about how she used to have a very deep relationship with her mother, where they used to go on walks and they used to do all of these other things, just like, mother and daughter should do all those things. And now, she said, when they occasionally, if they go to Topeka and see her mother, their mother won't even look at them. And you can see that, what I'm talking about, on her interview that she did with Joe Rogan, her appearance on the Joe Rogan Experience. And the Westboro Baptists aren't the only one that do that. I've just discussed, obviously, how Jehovah's Witnesses have tendencies to do that. Here's what kind of blows my mind a little bit about that whole concept of that people just shunning especially people who conceived and gave birth to and raised kids, how they can just ignore them on religious grounds. Here's why that blows my mind. Any average person knows I mean, or any woman who has had children, or even a father that has helped conceive children, though he did not give birth to them, know that the bond that they have with their kids are ridiculously strong. And my parents know that about me. I know that I have a strong connection with them. And what blows my mind is how they can ignore that maternal or paternal instinct to love their kids and help their kids, even if their kids do things they really shouldn't. They know how strong that is. And so for someone to have the effort to just turn off that, or put in the effort to turn off that vibe and, silence that natural inclination, must take a lot of power to do that. Like, if I, for some godforsaken reason, if I went full Larry Nassar on somebody and, like, molested hundreds of athletes, my parents would be incredibly ashamed of what I did. They would hate what I did, but they would still love me, and they would still love the positive qualities within me, despite the fact that I did, such a horrible crime. That's applicable to anything, whether it's that, whether it's murder, whether it's bank robbing or anything like that. They think, yeah, it's a horrible thing that you did, but you're our son, so we still love you. And so they would, come in and visit me in prison and stuff like that. And I think most people could say the same thing, that they could do lots of horrible things, but their parents would, and other family members would still visit them in jail because they have a strong biological bond. So something is seriously wrong in these people's heads, where this natural biological bond, this natural inclination is, or they silence it because of their religious convictions. It's obviously, when you do that, because of the fact that the child-parent or even, sibling bond is so strong, and obviously in nature, we see in general the parental to child or even sibling bond is very strong, regardless of the choices that the people make. The surrounding individuals in the family always love them, and always try, most cases, most people feel that. And so for them not to feel that because of their religious convictions, or for them to try and silence it and just not feel it because their religious convictions, that's messed up, because of how obvious that bond is in nature, not only in the human race, but you see many other species as well, how strong that bond is and how natural it is. They are going against nature. They are going against the way mankind naturally is, the bond that family naturally has with each other, especially parent to child. They are resisting mankind's natural bond, mankind's natural inclination. And I know that all desires, you could say, that exist within people that are natural are not necessarily good. Someone could naturally have a problem with anger and such, but this is a good natural bond. It's a normal, healthy bond, healthy outlook on the people that you love in your family. And, I almost feel like that destroying that is going against God's plan. Because obviously in the Orthodox and Catholic faith, you see nothing like that. Because if an Orthodox person becomes Catholic, or a Catholic person becomes Anglican or something like that, the families are not going to just outcast them. It's definitely not what traditional Christian faiths teach by any stretch of the imagination. I think traditional Christian faiths would condemn such an act because they acknowledge that the natural bond of family is very strong. It's stronger in some cases than religious ties. So I just wanted to make this quick video expressing my thoughts on this. The fact that someone can just shut their family, especially kids, out that they conceived, birth, and raise, and they can just cut them off at a moment's notice because they apostatize from the family's religion. It's really sickening to me. It's messed up, and it's obviously not the way God designed families to be. It's clearly going against God's plan and God's natural feelings and inclinations that He gives to people. So I hope everyone has a good day.